Welcome to another episode of Marriage, Money, and Faith.
Welcome back. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about the three most important elements in a marriage or in any relationship.
And if you want us to find out, stay tuned, subscribe below, and we're going to talk about just that.
Stay tuned.
Marriage, money, and faith.
Improving and strengthening marriages, finances, and faith through honest conversations. Fellas, thanks again for joining the show. The question is, what are the three most important things in your relationship?
I think that you have to have God, definitely God, because He sent to you. It really does. I think you have to have. It got to be complementary. It has to be something that the other wants, the other have, and you bring it. It's a complementary part of in the relationship that you have to have, and intimacy. Intimacy can go so many levels. It can go on the sex part. It can be on the touch part. It can be on the cuddle, snuggle, touch, word of affirmation. And if you tell me stuff that you always tell me, that you know that I want to hear, that I don't get anybody else to say that, that's part of intimacy in a way that just, I think that most guys, I won't say a lot of guys, want to feel like that they are for that woman.
Just to add, to me, it's literally food, sex, and respect. Food, sex, and respect, and not necessarily in that order. Because if I got sex, I may be good to go for a while without food. But definitely respect is number one to me. So what do you think about those three?
Yeah, respect go a long way.
I definitely agree with respect being part of the package. I think this question goes back to what's the most important thing to a woman in a relationship. They often point to security. And I think, like my man just said right here, if it's not complimentary, it's not going to work, right? You have to complement each other. You got to make each other whole. As such, if a woman is in need of security, you can provide that, she might move on to the next one. So I think it's really, the most important thing to me is trying to figure out what your partner's needs are. I think oftentimes we go off assuming, what somebody's needs are based on how we receive love or how we give love as opposed to what their needs are. So number one would be, to find out what the partner's needs are, because, you could say, I love you, you love me, but you're not fulfilled because my needs are not being met. Therefore, we don't have the tools or the know-how to actually achieve that. We love each other, but it's not happening.
So what are your needs? Like, if you have to list three things that you need for yourself that's necessary for your relationship to continue, what would be that three thing that you need personally? Now, don't think about what your spouse need, what you need.
Well, I think for me it'd be definitely a praying woman. Proverbs 31 all the way. It pretty much captures that. The second part is, and my wife captures that. She's definitely a praying woman, and she's hardworking. She's up early, doing the things that a Proverbs 31 woman would do.
All right, let me ask another question. How important is sex in your relationship? Straight up.
I guess we could take this entire piece and talk about sex in itself, because I guess what we're not talking about is the type of sex. Because when we say sex, it's a very much broad term. So, tonight we've heard coded terms for it: intimacy, closeness, body language. So I've been doing a lot of studying on that very topic through a sexologist, Martha Lee. She's based in Singapore. She definitely talks about various parts of, that topic, not just how to do it. She's also a relationship coach and counselor, but it's the quality. Because if you think about it, in a marriage, it's like you could have the food in the house, but if the food is not desirable, you're not gonna want to eat it, right? You have plenty, but it's not cooked the way you want. It doesn't taste the way you want. So I think that the quality, the type of sex, is what is really going to keep them. I think really that's what it boils down to. Like if you are fulfilled in that area, I think the book that I'm currently reading by Andrew Carnegie. Think and Grow Rich. Like, that book was given to me before 2004. It was like one of those other books. But today I'm ready. I'm ready to really take on what the author has to share, because he's arguably the richest person to ever live. I mean, $384 billion. I mean, that's how much his company was worth, and his net worth was. So clearly he had something to say. So he talks about, different aspects of not quitting, how to go after what you desire, and also how to channel that energy. Sex is energy, and energy is energy. So when that energy is off, a lot of things can be off in the marriage. How important sex is? It's extremely important because it's a life force. I mean, that's how we got here, if you think about it, because, if it wasn't for it, let's face it, we wouldn't be here. I mean, it is an energy. It is captivating. It is passionate. It is powerful, and it is extremely important.
And in terms of communication, can you give us some communication tips to somebody who's new in a relationship or in a marriage? Starting with you.
Me? Well, I'll say, be truthful. Just lay on the table, because we have this notion that sometimes we think that people live in your mind. But just be truthful in love. I'm not saying that, tell me you suck right away. Say no. You can say it in a way that reinforce something positive. And be truthful. When you're truthful, it helps a lot of things. It takes away the phoniness, because I don't think that sometimes guys really recognize real. So when you start being funny, you have to keep up being funny.
Game recognizes game too.
Yeah, so just be truthful. If you like, you like. You don't like, you don't like. You want better, you want better. But at least communicate it, because a lot of time you hear women can say, he doesn't understand how I feel. I said, but maybe if you tell him how you feel, that helps him understand it. Because when you start with the I feel this way, it makes it more personal than venting on nonsense. And be truthful all the time. That helps.
And play the same question for you in terms of communication. What advice would you give somebody who's new in a marriage or a relationship?
Again, that's on a case-by-case basis, because we could talk about the toothpaste, how you squeeze it. We could talk about the mirror, what are your pet peeves, all the way up to how we raise our kids, right? So I think my uncle taught me is that when your woman is going through something, especially if it's very near and dear to her, intimate, like something that has to do with her body even, you can't look at it as you can't look at it as it's her problem. It's our problem. Actually, it's your problem more than hers, because you want your wife's body to be right, because time to hit the road, ready for action. You can't, you know what I mean? You gotta trust the car to take you from Delaware to New York and back. And for that, I think we get it wrong as men, because we often sit on the sideline thinking, okay, no, you have a problem. Like, no. And I think also the other thing that Dr. Martha talks about is, how we communicate, our tone, our timing, our delivery. And like my man just said right here is, the honesty piece is important, because You know, I could sit here for 10 years trying to communicate something to you. You either ignore it or say, yeah, 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 nod along. But the truth is, you never really stopped and really thought and really listened to what I had to say. So you didn't really, it's a borderline taking me for granted. And that's definitely a recipe for disaster.
On a follow-up question relating to sex, how often do you think in your marriage that you should, in other words, be getting some booty?
It's just not a matter of just a frequency or how often. It's just, to me, it's where the relationship is. I mean, the truth is, you know, it's like your cake. You can take a slice whenever you want to, but the truth is, life attacks you. I mean, there's little foxes here and there that just comes and just, you know, steal those moments, those moments of intimacy, of those moments of being able to connect, whether it's handling the finances, handling something at work, being sick, or not feeling like it. And women are emotional, men are emotional too, and we go through our bouts. And I don't know, some people say, you know, having sex 7 days a week is perfect. Others, I mean, it all depends. For me, if you want to know, I don't know, like, I can go like a rodeo 365, and I can probably go on a rodeo 365 not having sex either, because I'm so focused on something, because I am that type of person where I'm extremely driven internally. Like, if I have something I'm focused on, like, I'm focused on that. But when it's time to play,
I would jump and say something. If you change the lens at which you're looking at it, you don't look at the frequency, but you look at something else. There's 2 instances in the Bible that say God is. They say that God is in the midst of worship and in the midst of 2 people come together. So how often do you want God to be with you? That can be give you nuggets. Because if you say that as long as we get together, we can solve every pain, because at that moment God is in the midst of us. If He's there, that means there's no problem. And if you say when we sing and worship, God is in the midst of it. If you can look at it like that, you solve the frequency problem, and you start focusing on the matter of, I want something that can be, because if you say that you want God, that's that bringing it to the scene. It's something that just...
Real quick, 10 seconds to go. Any last words?
fellas, get that booty, man. Make sure you take care of your wife, man. She needs that.